Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aspasia. This is my channel, Asparagus Reading, and today I'm going to be doing an unhaul video. I have quite a few books that I'd like to unhaul just because this shelf is running out of space. They're not bringing me joy. I'm not going to read them again, or I'm never going to read them at all, so why not just give them to someone else that might care more than I will. I'm just going to get into it. It's quite a stack. It's quite a stack. You can actually see some of it here, and that's not even the only stack. Like, there's more. Some books that I plan to put into the kid library that we have downstairs is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I do plan to read this one day. I would like to get into this series and get into the hype and all of that. I just don't think I'm gonna keep it on my shelf. I'm gonna put it downstairs for the younger kids. Go Online, Zoe Sugg. It found its way back up on my shelf. I'm putting it right back down there. A Dog's Life by Anne M. Martin. I think I want to read this. I remember the movie, like, little details. I remember my friend's obsessed with this. I think this is the same thing I'm thinking of. But it's not something I would keep for myself, so. The Princess Imposter. That's all the explanation you need. Then I have my TBR stack, and this is a stack of books that I would like to read, and I do plan to read, and they also have the potential of staying on my shelf. And the first book of that is Ringer, which is a sequel to Replica. This is about two girls who happen to meet, and they look exactly alike, and they find out that one of them is the clone of the other. And there's this whole journey of finding out why they're clones, who made the clones, why they cloned me, when did they clone me, things like that. I just never read the sequel. I got the book for free, and it's an ARC, and I just never read it, so. Another ARC, The 10th Girl by Sarah Faring. I got this when I entered a giveaway, and this came in like a box, like 3 out of 35 books, something like that. All I know is it has South African rep where they visit South Africa. It has something to do with the 10th Girl. I don't remember anything else, but the cover is intriguing, and I want to read it. Yet another ARC. When the Stars Lead to You. This is about a girl and a guy who break up. I don't know if it's off page or on page, and it's during the summertime where she's trying to figure out if she still wants to be with him or what life is on her own, figure out what she wants to do in her future before the upcoming school year. And then he comes back in the picture and he's like, hey, kind of want to be with you again, and she's navigating whether or not she wants to do that. Another ARC. As you can see, there's a theme here. Set Fire to the Gods. This is by Sarah Rach and Kristen Simmons. No clue what it's about. I was just going through all the books that I had, and I found this, and I was like, where has this been? Forgot I even had this. Something to do with the Avatar meets Gladiator. Sounds good to me. The Kingdom. This is also a book I wanted to give away. This is about kind of like Disney World, where they have the princesses, except instead of having people, they have like robots. And I guess one day someone gets murdered, and it looks very obviously like one of the princess android robots killed someone. I haven't been to Disney World, and I feel like this is gonna freak me out, but I'm gonna read it anyway. The next one is Hot Dog Girl by Jennifer Dugan. This is about a girl who starts to work as a hot dog person at a carnival, and while she's there, she sees her crush hanging out with her enemy, and her friends is there, and they're trying to help the carnival survive, because I do believe they are in danger of closing down indefinitely. And so during this summer job, her and her friends and I guess the enemy and the crush try to raise some money and awareness of that the carnival is being closed soon, and try to keep it going. Then we have a thriller, Come Find Me on Megan Miranda. I met Megan Miranda once. I was there for a different author, but she was there, so I was like, why not see her too? My dad picked this up because he's like, this sounds interesting. He picked it up for me. He hasn't read it, so that's very not helpful. I have no idea what this is about. I think it has to do something with like two people meeting over the radio or over the internet. It has something to do with like they hear a signal. And my first intention was like, oh, aliens. You get that weird little signal static thing, but I don't think that this is supernatural, so I don't. Then I have the books that I'm giving to friends, at least people that, have asked that I, if I can give them to them or sell them to them. These are books that were wanted out of all these books. First I have is Ruin and Rising, the exclusive collector's edition. I got this for like 99 cents and I was like, who did this? And that was around the time when I really wanted to get into Lee Bardugo, and I didn't until like a year or two later. But they didn't have book one or book two, so I just picked this up with intentions of getting book one and book two. Never did. Show was announced. Book one and two and well, three has like a 6-month wait. So, and I've heard that the trilogy is not as good as Six of Crows duology. And every time I have the chance to read it, I just don't want to read it. So I'd rather just use it from my library, give it to someone else who would really enjoy it and really adores this series and would love the show, and just keep on going with Six Crows. The next two books is Warcraft Marilu. I read this a couple years ago. I enjoyed it, but not enough to read it again or read the sequels. So, and Honey Girl. I recently read this, enjoyed it. I think if I were to read it again, I would get it from a library. I'm trying to be a bit more mindful about the books I purchase, which is why I'm again debating whether or not I should cancel my Book of the Month subscription. When it comes to Book of the Month, I do like the subscription. I do like the whole idea around it. However, I noticed a lot of the books from the subscription ends up at my library anyway, so it's kind of like, do I really need to spend the money every month when I could just get it from the library? So, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to read this again. If I do, I feel like I'm just going to pick it up from my library on audio really fast and just get it in like a couple hours. So, the next book is Children of Blood and Bone, Book 1. I read this a couple years ago, really enjoyed it. And then the first and second time I reread it, I was like, sis, what did you enjoy? Where? And then when I read the sequel, I was like, oh no. The sequel, I feel like there's only like two opinions I've noticed about this series. You love the first one, hate the second, or hate the first, love the second. I enjoyed-ish the first one, hated the second one, and I just don't think I'm interested enough to continue with the series. There was a rumor going around it was supposed to be like an 8-book series because it was being compared to Harry Potter and stuff, and I was like, that's enough for me. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that has changed. I don't know if that was just because it was compared to Harry Potter, someone said that. I couldn't find any like truth or anything about it when I did look into it. But all I know is I don't want to get to book 3, so any more than 3 books, I don't care. The next is an entire trilogy, the Match Trilogy. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know that I really enjoyed this series, and I did reread it a couple times on this channel. But every time I reread it, my enjoyment dwindles and dwindles. And I noticed that I really enjoy the second one the most out of any of them, and that tends to be the one I reread more than anything else. So if I really want to reread it, I can just check it out in my library, use the audiobook real quick, put it on 3 times speed, and just... So I'm going to give this to someone else that would like this series, or their sibling or whoever. Another one is Instant Karma. Again, same theme for most of these. I've read it already. I did enjoy it. However, I don't think I'm going to read it again. Which is strange because I love Marissa Meyer, and I've reread almost every single one of the books that I've read so far. This one, on the other hand, in the moment, I enjoyed it 4 to 5 stars, but the more I think about it, the more things I'm like, I don't know about that. And there's been a lot of discussion about the use of karma in here and how they feel like her use of karma was not correct or a proper representation of it in relation to, I think, the religion and traditions that kind of go with karma. Yeah, so that seems to be a trend with her books where she features other races, religions, ethnicities in her books, and the representation is not great. And it tends to kind of be overlooked, I think, with the first few reviews, and then later on when more people read it, they're like, Marissa. So I do say if you would like to read this, keep that in mind, that the representation of karma is not great, and it is barely used in the book. God, now I'm scared for this giant stack. Let's just get started. The Dating Plan, another Book of the Month book that I enjoyed when I read it. Probably wouldn't have bought it if it wasn't Book of the Month. And if I had the choice of library before I ordered from Book of the Month, I would have chosen from my library. Do I plan to read it again? Probably not. I have some mass market paperbacks here. One of them is My Side of the Mountain, which is about someone who takes his bare necessities and go on this big, like, life-changing coming of age trip. I think I'm gonna read this one day. It's short, the font is kind of huge, sounds interesting. I just don't think I'm gonna keep it. If anything, I might put it downstairs. Then I have two books that I raved about, and well, I've raved about one. I was excited for the second one, and then disappointed when I read it. And that is Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune and Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop. I did a whole vlog for this one. I think it's probably private now, to be honest. And I really enjoyed it and I loved it. And I was excited for the next one. Next one came out, I read it, and I was like, what is this? It was not the same experience. I feel like Rosella Lim's writing style has changed somewhat, and also became more comfortable adding certain things. I feel like this was more teenage-ish, like the vibes I was getting, even though it's like an adult character you're following, but I feel like this was a more mature, grown, I don't know, it just felt different. It wasn't the same experience, it wasn't the same anything, and I was just like, again, both on my library. Do I need these books? No. When no one is watching, I recently hauled this from my Goodwill for like 99 cents or something like that, because it was really talked about. I was really excited to read it. I'm gonna be honest with you, depending on the review that you heard or watched, it's not gonna be the best representation of this, or what it was. I personally did not feel it was a thriller. I was waiting for that thrilling aspect, that scariness to kind of creep up behind me, get that fear or something like that. I didn't really get that until it's the end. But once you finally get that, the book speeds up. Like, it's like, we going now? So you don't really feel that. I definitely see where things started happening, where you might be like, ooh, what's going on over there? But I didn't get that feeling. This talks a lot about African Americans living in the United States, gentrification, racism. I believe there's a little bit of homophobia in there, police brutality. There's some mention and depictions of, I can't think of the word, it's white privilege. There we go, white privilege. Where people use their privilege to get something towards their advantage over a black person. Or they would call the police with a BS excuse to get that person in trouble. Yeah. I have a more detailed review, I believe, on Goodreads, so if you'd like to see that, check out my Goodreads, and if I remember, I'll leave a link down below. Summer bucket list. I got this in my very first book box from the Bookworm box. I think that's what it's called. This sounds like something that I would have read in like 2010-ish, maybe 2015. Something cute in high school over the summer, where they have like a really cute summer, they go on a boyfriend, they do the bucket list. We in 2021 now. We don't really do that. I don't really feel excited about things like that, so you gotta go. I might read it because it is big font and it sounds like a quick, cute contemporary to get through, just not really capturing my attention right now. Every time I see it, I'm just like, eh. So, maybe. Queen of the Conquered. I have 3 copies of this, so I'm trying to get rid of the duplicates. I DNF'd this the first time around. I think I'm gonna give it a second try. The reason why I DNF'd it is because at the time a lot of Black Lives Matter movements was going on. There was racism and police brutality, protests, all that going on around that time. And when I read this, within the first 50-ish pages, there was just a lot of terrible, horrendous treatment of black people and slavery and all this other stuff. And I was just like, I was just not in the mindset to be reading that in that moment. I was just upset about the world. And then the whole situation with BookTube, where people, well, book community in general, and publishers and companies, where they're being called out for their racism and unequal treatment and their crap, and then booktubers and their crap. I was just upset. And so I was like, let me pick this up to join Olivia Reads a Latte's Buddy Read Book Club. I was crying within like 30 pages, and I couldn't do it because I was just so tired of that daily reminder that, unfortunately, people of color will not be equal to whites, will not get that treatment the same as whites, will not have the same advantage or anything. I was just so frustrated and angry, so I could not read this. I think if I waited to a different point, I could read this, Just don't know when yet. So maybe one day we'll get there. But I remember that moment, I just wanted to throw a fit. So, also this main character is not necessarily supposed to be liked. She did some shitty things, and I was like, So with the whole anger plus her, no, no, no. Replica. This is book one to the previous book that I said I wanted to read. Again, it's about two girls who meet randomly, like just they run into each other or something like that, and they find out that they're clones, or one of them is a clone, excuse me, I keep saying both of them. One of them is a clone, and there's that whole journey to figure out who made the clones, why they made the clones, when did they get the clones, because how did you clone me and I didn't know? Why are you cloned? Why are you out and not with the rest of the clones? Things like that. So, number two just follows the previous events of this book. Before I Fall. This is a wonderful book that I've read multiple times and enjoyed the movie. This is about a girl who basically Groundhog Day repeats the same day over and over and over again. And I really enjoyed this. Am I gonna read it again? No. I think if I ever feel inclined to read this again, I would just pick it up at my library. It was really good at the time that I read it, and then like the popularity of it, and I think another book by this author. But ever since then, I don't really care anymore, so she can go. 6 Goodbyes We Never Said. I have a whole vlog of this up. I really enjoyed this. I cried a lot, etc., etc. Just don't think I'm gonna read it again, and I do think if I want it, I'd rather have a final copy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just don't think I'm gonna read it again, and I'd rather have a final copy. Nobody Real. This is straight garbage, period. Royce Rolls. This is a book I've read. I got from Dollar Tree, I think, Dollar General. I read it once, and I was shooketh. It started off as, like, Keeping Up with the Kardashians-esque, and then it hit thrillers. There was, like, a whole thriller mystery part of it, and then it kind of moved to a different genre, and I was like, where are we doing? Where are we going? Can we pick one? It was okay. I like the Keeping Up Kardashian part of it. Everything else, I don't know what was going on there. The Creature of Moonlight. I have no idea what this is. I don't even remember getting this or requesting this, but it's here now. It's gonna be donated. Half Bad by Sally Green. This was a series that I wanted to try to get into because this is one of those popular books you would have read like middle schoolish. Never read it. So, Broken Hearts, Fences, and Other Things to Mend. Again, another literary fiction, possibly young adult contemporary. Would have been cute for like 2015-ish for summertime. It's 2021. I'm more into adult romances. The font is kind of weird. Never really cared. Donating. Artemis by Andy Weir. I remember being excited for this. I remember being interested in this author and like the whole Mars and Moon and space themed books that he writes. Very disappointed by this. Collateral Damage by Taylor Simmons is up there. This is a Fay Crate edition, so it has a double-sided dust jacket, book plate, signed cover, I think, and the same pages. I enjoy this. It was like a 3 to 4 stars. It's just not enough for me to really read it again. I don't know if it's going to be a series. I do feel like the second half kind of flopped, in my opinion. So, I don't know. It wasn't as good as the first half. Like, I was getting into it, and the second half happened, and I was kind of like, eh. And the very last book, we have The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer. I was going through a little Stephanie Meyer phase, and I think this was read sometime before. I don't even remember when I read this. I got it because I was interested in it, and I read like 100 pages and never picked it back up again. I read this more than once, or at least attempted to, and I didn't get very far each time, and just couldn't continue with it. So I ended up just DNFing it and just being like, you know what? Maybe it's just not for me. At this point, I don't think I have any more interest in Stephanie Meyer, so there's that. I do believe her new book recently came out. It was Edward's perspective of the whole Twilight thing. I was excited for it in the moment. I think the majority of that hype came from other people's hype. But when I look at it and I really think about it, I'm not gonna read that. I'm really not. So that is all the books that I plan to unhaul very soon. As of right now, my plan is to send those off in the mail. Head over to a couple little libraries in the neighboring counties, and then whatever's left, I'm gonna drop them off at Goodwill. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, if you made it this far, let me know which of these books that I'm unhauling that you think I should try or give a second chance. And I might do it. Might. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and go. And yeah, have a good afternoon, day, and night, wherever you are. And hope to see you in the next one.